You ever stop and think about how most days, they just kind of work? We don't really question it. We just trust that our routines are solid, that things will unfold pretty much like they always do. But here's the thing. Stability doesn't just happen on its own. It's maintained. So what if that feeling of a perfectly normal day, that absence of chaos, is actually the result of 1,000 tiny decisions made before we even knew there was a problem?
I mean, really think about it. What even is a normal day? It's not something you can easily define, is it? It's more of a feeling. It's that sense of predictability, when things just flow, without any friction. It's that quiet feeling that everything is exactly as it should be. Oh, you totally know this feeling. The bus pulls up right as you get to the stop. The traffic lights all seem to be on your side. These aren't huge, dramatic events. In fact, they're the complete opposite. They're so ordinary, they're practically invisible. And we absolutely take that quiet, predictable rhythm for granted. And that is the real question, isn't it? Because that smooth rhythm is no accident. It's the product of countless tiny adjustments, this quiet work happening just beneath the surface of everything we do. So let's pull back the curtain a little and see what's really going on. So to dig into this, we're going to follow a journalist named Julia. And Julia starts to notice these little cracks in her ordinary everyday life. She starts seeing patterns that feel, well, a little too perfect, a little too coordinated to just be a coincidence.
It's nothing big at first, a municipal notice posted on a cafe bulletin board that just vanishes before most people have a chance to read it. She overhears a comment about road work on a busy street finishing hours ahead of schedule. Each little thing on its own is totally normal, but when she starts stringing them together, they start to feel arranged.
Okay, so look at this timeline of her morning. Each of these is what you might call an early action. It's a solution that shows up before the problem does. The notice is gone before it can stir up questions. The road work is done before it can snarl up traffic. The buses are tweaked before they can run late. One by one, they just look efficient. But altogether, it suggests a totally different way of thinking is at play here. A proactive, almost precautionary kind of work.
And this brings us to our first huge idea. What if the main goal of all the systems that run our world isn't to react to problems, but to stop them from ever becoming visible in the first place?
This slide just lays it out so clearly. We're all used to the reaction column. A crisis hits, and you see it, the sirens, the news crews, the chaos. But the prevention column, that's a whole different ballgame. It's all about acting before a problem goes public, keeping everything calm and invisible. It's the difference between mopping up a huge spill and catching the glass just as it was about to tip over.
And this quote just nails it. Think about that for a second. If everything goes right, if all that preventative work is done perfectly, the result is nothing. Just another normal, uneventful day. The most effective work is the work you never, ever see.
Let's give this a name. Let's call it precautionary work. It's all that effort humming along in the background to make sure our daily lives just keep humming along, uninterrupted. It's the road being salted before the ice forms. It's the system getting a patch before it can fail. It's a fundamental shift from just reacting to actually predicting.
But this is where things get really fascinating and honestly, a little tricky. What happens when this invisible layer of prevention suddenly becomes visible? What happens when somebody like Julia starts to notice?
And that's a totally fair question, right? If all this stuff is happening to keep things running smoothly, why shouldn't we know about it? Isn't transparency always a good thing? Well, it turns out it's a lot more complicated than that.
Here it is. This is the paradox. The whole system works because it relies on us, the public, to behave in predictable, routine ways. But the moment we become aware that the system is anticipating our behavior changes. We stop being passive cogs in the machine and become active, unpredictable players. And that awareness creates this crazy feedback loop. You share a piece of information, and people start to anticipate a problem. Once they anticipate it, they act differently to get ahead of it. And that new behavior can completely disrupt the very system that was trying to help. Like, if you warn everyone that a road might be busy later, they'll all leave early at the exact same time, creating the traffic jam you were trying to prevent.
So the crucial point is this. The magic of these quiet preventative systems depends on them feeling completely ordinary, part of the background noise of life. The moment you shine a spotlight on them, the moment they feel special, they can start to break down. Okay, so let's take this idea now and apply it to a really high-stakes situation. Let's see how thousands of small, uncoordinated decisions can actually lead to a much better outcome than one single top-down order. Imagine a city,
and the river that runs through it is rising, fast. Officials see the data. They know there's a flood risk. But, and this is a big but, it's still just a risk, not a certainty. If they sound a citywide alarm too early, they could trigger a massive panic, which might be even more dangerous than the flood itself. So what do?
Well, let's look at outcome A. You hit the big red button. A citywide alarm blares. Everyone gets the same information at the exact same second. And the result? A synchronized reaction. Everybody runs for their cars at once. The roads instantly become parking lots, and the evacuation gridlock becomes its own disaster.
But what if there's another way? That brings us to outcome B. Instead of one loud alarm, subtle information and early advisories start to trickle out. This doesn't synchronize everyone's behavior, it distributes it. People make small, independent choices. Some folks move their cars from low-lying areas. Other people decide to work from home. The entire reaction is spread out, over hours and across the entire city.
And this right here is the heart of it. The pressure never gets concentrated in one place at one time. Thousands of small, quiet decisions made by thousands of ordinary people, prompted by just a little bit of awareness. They maintain order way more effectively than one big, loud command ever could. It's order without orders. So, when you zoom out, what does all this tell us about how our society really works? Well, it all comes down to this incredibly delicate balance. An active collaboration that every single one of us is a part of, whether we realize it or not.
That feeling of normal that seems so permanent and so solid, it's not a given. It's something that requires constant, active maintenance. It's a fragile dance, a collaboration built on a delicate balance between the institutions doing their quiet work and the public behaving in predictable ways.
This just puts it perfectly. It's a two-way street. The systems keeping things running smoothly are trusting us to follow our routines, to not panic, to act, well, normally. And in return, we trust that society will remain stable and functional. It's this quiet, unwritten contract we all have with each other. And so that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The next time you have a perfectly normal, uneventful day, the kind of day where nothing really happens, ask yourself, was that just a happy accident, or was it the result of a shared, unspoken responsibility? A quiet collaboration between the systems you can't see and the thousands of ordinary, predictable choices that you and everyone around you make every single day.